So just to start off with, can you tell me in simple terms what mitochondrial donation is, the technique?
So mitochondrial donation is a technique which is about trying to prevent the transmission of mitochondrial DNA disease. So mitochondrial DNA is present in mitochondria, and these are present in all the cells in our body. Mitochondrial DNA is passed down from mother to child. Mitochondrial DNA disease, in those mitochondrial DNA molecules are errors or mutations which lead to disease. So in mitochondrial donation, the technique involves taking the nuclear DNA from an egg from a woman that carries mitochondrial DNA mutations and transferring it into an egg with healthy mitochondria. The whole idea of this is to prevent the transmission of mitochondrial disease.
And is it a safe procedure?
Right. Numerous tests have been done with this technique. The technique we use in Newcastle was in fact a technique that was invented back in 1983 and has been done in lots of experiments in mice. There have been recently experiments done with human eggs, and as far as we can assess, it's safe. Of course, any new technique has always got risks associated with it, and of course we explain those risks to potential women that are considering mitochondrial donation.
And are we the only ones in Britain who has permission to carry out this technique?
Yes, we are. So be allowed to do this technique, you need a license from the Human Fertilisation Embryology Authority, which is a regulatory body for fertility treatment in the UK. To get that license, you need to fulfil a number of criteria, and Newcastle's the only centre in the UK that would fulfil that criteria.
And when will the first baby be born using this technique?
So it's difficult for me to give you any timing on this. What I can say is that the clinics are set up, that women are being seen, and that women are considering this. Of course, everything covering with specific patients is based under patient confidentiality. But I can say that the clinics are set up and we are pursuing this with a number of couples.
And how many women will be able to get this technique?
Well, what we've got funding for initially is for 75 couples to go through this process. Now this is so that we can do precisely to look at risk. So what we want to do, and this is all part of a funded study, is to look at the outcome of mitochondrial donation at 18 months. So what we want to do is look at the children born after mitochondrial donation to see that the technique is safe and effective. We're funding for 75 children. Now clearly if this proves to be safe and effective, then we would hope that we'll be able to offer it to women that carry these mutations going forward.
And can you explain a little bit about what mitochondrial disease is and how it affects patients?
So mitochondrial disease, the best way to think about mitochondria is to think of them as powerhouses in the cell. So mitochondria are very important, converting the sugars and fats that we eat into a usable form of energy. So when you've got mitochondrial disease, effectively the cells or the organs run out of energy, and it tends to affect those cells and organs which are heavily dependent on energy metabolism. So for example, the muscles, the heart, the brain are commonly affected. So mitochondrial disease, if it's very severe, will often present in infancy with really life-threatening illness. Milder mitochondrial disease might present later in life with muscle disease or heart disease or brain disease.
And is there any treatment at the moment which
One of the reasons why mitochondrial donation is so important is there is no effective curative treatment for patients with mitochondrial disease. So there are ways in which we can treat some of the symptoms, but we're only treating the symptoms, we're not curing the condition, which is why trying to prevent these conditions is so important for families.
And after the child is born, is there any risks for any sort of legal disputes or any claims from the third person involved in it?
So this has all been carefully thought of by the HFEA, and anybody that's donating their eggs or oocytes for mitochondrial donation will have to fully consent that there is an anonymity for both the child born and for the donor. This has all been agreed by the HFEA, and this is all carefully regulated in the UK.
And is there anything else that you'd like to say or get across?
I think one of the things that's really important is that this is a real collaboration, and a really important that this is research that's gone on between the Fertility Centre and our team in the mitochondrial research team. It's involved patients, it's involved legislators, and it's involved the funding bodies. And I think it's a great credit that all these teams have come together to make this possible for patients with mitochondrial disease. Right, great.
Brilliant, that's excellent.